Title: The Mysterious Stranger Who Showed Up After I Moved In. If you think moving into a new home is exciting, wait until the house starts watching you back. Subscribe, like, and comment if you dare. This one will stay with you long after the lights go out. The first night in the new house was supposed to be peaceful. After 2 months of apartment hunting, Evan Porter finally found what he thought was a perfect home, a quiet 3-bedroom in a small Ohio town with a wide backyard and tall oaks lining the fence. The realtor said it had been empty for years, but Evan didn't care. The price was good, and he was desperate to start fresh after his divorce. He moved in on a gray Thursday afternoon. By evening, the wind had picked up. The house made small creaks and groans as it settled, the way old houses do, but there was something different, rhythmic sounds, like footsteps, pacing just outside the back door. At first, he told himself it was the trees. He laughed it off, poured a drink, and turned on the TV. But when the static on the old set flickered and froze, he caught a reflection, a figure, motionless, standing outside the sliding glass door. He turned around quickly. No one was there. That night, he dreamed of a shadowed man walking the edge of his yard, leaving muddy footprints that never dried. When he woke, his sheets were damp with sweat. He brushed it off, made coffee, and headed to the backyard to get some air. And there they were, footprints, bare feet, human, fresh. They led from the far side of the yard to right beneath his window, then stopped abruptly. No turn, no retreat. Just gone. He told himself it had to be some local prankster, maybe kids messing with the new guy. But when he asked his neighbor, an elderly man named Harold, the smile dropped from the man's face. Harold said softly, "You're in the Miller house, aren't you?" Evan nodded. "Then I'd keep." Evan nodded. "Then I'd keep your curtains closed after midnight." That night, the sounds returned. Soft knocking, not on the front door, but from inside the walls. He followed the sound to the hallway. It stopped. Then the doorknob to the basement rattled. He froze. The light above him flickered once, then again. And on the third flicker, something shifted in the reflection of the basement window. A shape. A tall figure standing in the backyard, head tilted slightly, hands at his sides. Evan's breath caught. He whispered, "Who's there?" No answer. The figure didn't move, not even to blink. Evan stepped back, grabbed his phone, and aimed the flashlight. But when the beam hit the window, the figure was gone. The next morning, he found something new. A small smudge on the glass door, a handprint. Long fingers smeared dirt. He called the realtor, angry. She apologized, claiming there had been issues with trespassers before. But when Evan pressed for details, her tone changed. "Maybe you should call the police if it happens again," she said quickly. "The last owner, well, it's complicated." When he looked up the address online, his stomach dropped. In 2006, a man named Robert Miller had been found dead inside the same house. Murdered. The killer was never caught. That night, Evan couldn't sleep. Every sound made him flinch: the ticking clock, the settling floorboards, even the hum of the refrigerator. Around midnight, he went to the window one last time. The yard was empty. He turned off the light, but then 3 slow knocks, right on the glass. He whipped around, heart pounding, but saw only darkness. Then a faint movement ahead, rising just high enough to meet his gaze through the window. The same figure, closer this time. The man's face was pale, lips unmoving, but his eyes burned like they were lit from behind. Evan stumbled backward, tripping over the coffee table. When he looked, the next morning, sunlight felt unnatural, cold, and colorless, like the house itself was draining the warmth from it. Evan barely slept. He kept replaying the image on his phone, zooming in on that impossible grin, the faint reflection of someone standing behind him. He didn't want to believe it was real. Maybe it was a trick of the light, or some sick prank by a neighbor. But the deeper he looked into the photo, the more details appeared. Eyes too bright, skin too smooth, like polished marble. And the strangest part, the reflection wasn't quite aligned with his own body. It leaned closer, watching. By noon, he couldn't take it anymore. He drove into town to find the local library, determined to learn everything about the house. The librarian, an older woman named Mrs. Caldwell, hesitated when he gave the address. Oh dear. You're staying there? Evan nodded slowly. She disappeared into the archives and came back with an old newspaper clipping, yellowed and brittle. The ink faded with age. The headline read, "Local man found slain in backyard, killer never found. Robert Miller. 2006. Blunt trauma. Signs of a struggle." The wife had left weeks before, claiming the house made her see things. Beneath the article was a blurry photo of the property, and in the corner of the frame, barely visible, a figure, standing in the trees. Evan's hands trembled as he turned to Mrs. Caldwell. "Who is that?" she frowned. "That's the thing. No one ever found out. But the police said something strange back then, that every time they developed photos of the crime scene, that man showed up somewhere in the frame, always watching, always in shadow." That night, Evan left all the lights on. He sat in the living room, gripping a baseball bat, trying to convince himself he was overreacting. At 2:58 a.m., the TV flickered. The screen turned to static. Then came the first knock. 1, 2, 3. He froze. The sound came from the back door again, slow, deliberate, like someone testing the glass. He crept closer, heart hammering. The curtains swayed gently from the draft, but he didn't dare move them aside. Then, through the narrow crack, he saw him, the same man, standing perfectly still in the fog, the same head tilt, the same pale face. But this time, there was something new, a smear of red across his chest. Evan whispered, "Who are you?" The man didn't move, but the next knock came not from the door this time, but from inside the wall. Evan stumbled back. The sound spread knock, knock, knock from every direction. The walls, the ceiling, the floorboards under his feet. Then silence. His phone buzzed. One new message, no sender, no number. Just 3 words, "Let me in." He dropped the phone. The TV flickered again, the static forming faint shapes. Faces, then letters. Slowly they came together on the screen. "He's already in." The front door creaked. Evan ran to it, but it was locked. Still, the handle trembled like someone was holding it from the other side. He turned around. There, standing in the center of the living room, was the man. Pale, still, eyes burning faintly in the dim light. For a second, Evan thought it was an intruder, but the air around him shimmered like heat haze, and then the figure was gone. Not vanished, shifted. One moment at the window, the next by the hallway, then behind the sofa, then gone again. Evan bolted upstairs, slamming his bedroom door. He pressed his ear to the wood and heard faint breathing. Not outside, but from inside the room with him. He turned slowly, flashlight shaking in his hand. The beam swept across the room, the bed, the dresser, the mirror, and there he was, the figure standing in the reflection, inches behind him, though no one was actually there. The man raised a finger to his lips. "Shh," Evan screamed and spun around empty. When he looked back at the mirror, the reflection was still there, smiling. At dawn, he fled the house. He stayed in his car for hours, engine off, staring at the windows. No movement. No sign of life. By noon, he convinced himself he was done. He'd move out, sell the place, never look back. But when he returned to pack his things, he noticed something new on the inside of the front door. A muddy handprint. Fingers long and thin, the same one from the night before. But beneath it, scratched into the wood with something sharp, were 4 words. "I live here now. Evan leaves the house, but the stranger doesn't stay behind." When he checks the rearview mirror that night, something is sitting in the back seat. Evan didn't remember starting the car. He only remembered driving fast, headlights slicing through the fog while trying not to look at the rearview mirror. Because the moment he did, his breath caught in his throat. Someone was sitting in the back seat. At first, it was just a shape, a faint outline behind the driver's headrest. But the longer he stared, the clearer it became. The pale man, the same one who had stood in his yard, who had appeared in the mirror, now sitting motionless in the dark of his car. Evan jerked the wheel. The car swerved, tires screaming. He pulled over, heart pounding, and spun around. The back seat was empty. He exhaled shakily, gripping the steering wheel until his knuckles turned white. The fog outside was thick now, too thick. The road, the trees, even the sky had vanished. He could only see what his headlights allowed, and in that narrow cone of light, something moved. A tall figure standing in the middle of the road. Evan hit the brakes. The car skidded to a stop just feet away. The man didn't move, didn't flinch. He just stood there, head tilted, the same faint smile stretched across his face. Evan slammed the car into reverse, but the engine sputtered. The lights flickered once, twice, then went out. Darkness swallowed him whole. Then came the sound, tap, 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 on the window beside him. Evan's trembling hand reached for the flashlight. He clicked it on, shining it at the glass. Nothing. But when he turned it toward the rear window, there he was. The man's face pressed against the glass, smiling. Evan screamed and threw the car into drive. The tires screeched against the pavement as he sped forward, refusing to look back. He didn't care where he was going, just away. But the road didn't end. Every turn led him deeper into the fog, deeper into the forest, like the world outside his headlights had been erased. And then the radio crack led to life. A distorted voice, low, broken. "Why did you come here, Evan?" He turned the dial, but the voice grew louder. "You came to my house." The air grew colder. Frost formed along the edges of the windshield. He tried to speak, but his lips wouldn't move. The voice continued calm, deliberate. "I never left that house, and now neither will you." The engine died. The headlights dimmed. Silence. When he woke, it was daylight. The car was parked in his driveway. He didn't remember coming home. Everything felt wrong, too quiet, too still. The air was heavy, the world slightly tilted. When he stepped out of the car, the front door of the house was wide open, swaying gently in the wind. He called out, "Who's there?" No answer. The floors creaked as he stepped inside. The house smelled like dirt and old wood. The temperature dropped instantly. He could see his breath, and then he heard footsteps above him. Someone was in the upstairs bedroom. He climbed the stairs slowly, heart hammering, every step groaning under his weight. When he reached the landing, the sound stopped. The door to his bedroom was open. Inside, the curtains swayed, though the windows were closed. On the wall, written in something dark and wet, were 4 words. "Welcome home, Robert." He froze. Robert Miller, the murdered homeowner. Evan stumbled backward, whispering, "No, no, that's not me." But when he glanced at the mirror hanging beside the door, he saw the reflection, the pale man standing behind him, hands resting on his shoulders, smiling. And this time, the man spoke. His voice was quiet, but it echoed through the room. "It's always been you." Evan spun around, no one there. But in the mirror, the reflection stayed, and now the reflection was him. His own face, pale, hollow-eyed, grinning like the stranger. He smashed the mirror to the ground, shards scattering across the floor. Each fragment still showed the same smiling reflection, hundreds of them staring back. That night, Neighbors saw the lights flickering in the Miller house again. They said they heard two voices, one pleading, one whispering. When police arrived the next morning, the house was empty. Evan's car sat in the driveway. His keys were still in the ignition. And on the front door, pressed into the wood like before, was a single handprint. Fresh, still wet. Weeks later, the property went back on the market. A new couple moved in. They said it felt welcoming, even peaceful. But the wife mentioned one odd thing sometimes. When she was doing the dishes at night, she'd look out the back window and see a man standing near the trees. When she turned to tell her husband, the man would be gone. But she swore that before he vanished, he always smiled. If you thought this was terrifying, the next story will haunt you even more. Hit subscribe button, because some doors once opened never close again.